Hey man, welcome to Superhorse on YouTube. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. Happy 4th of July to all of you. Some of you might still be celebrating the 4th. Right now it is 2 in the a.m. where I live, so we're all done with the 4th now. It's July 5th from my seat, anyhow. Anyway, this is Nicholas Villars, Nick. Whatever you want to call me. I am just here to take in the evening with you a little bit tonight and coming live here on our YouTube channel. Hopefully you have subscribed, and if you haven't, please do so now. And go ahead and bong the gong for notifications so you can be notified anytime we do go live. And come on in here, hang out with us, chat, or just listen and wait and comment later if you want. We always reply to comments, so please do that. We like to engage with our fan base. We will not, we'll get into this, but we won't tell you to go to therapy for disagreeing with us usually. Generally, we won't do that, but anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to Jude Terror's article here very soon. Anyway, before we do that, though, I have to let you know, since we are a musical act, a synth pop duo, I would like to point you in the direction of Spotify. Hopefully, you have Spotify or Apple Music. You can hear our new album, our newest album, Action Figures, 10 songs of synth pop joy and love. And you can listen to that in its entirety on Spotify and on Apple Music or on YouTube here. You can find it. Follow us there. Buy some merchandise. Get a nice Super Divorce Rules t-shirt or our album on compact disc or cassette or vinyl record at superdivorceme.com. So with that, I just, if you're confused by the content on this channel, we just started going live recently. I've been doing live videos every day for several weeks now. And we're just trying to mess around and see what's going to stick and what kind of channel this is going to become on YouTube. So I've been following a lot of the Star Wars news recently. I'm a big fan of the goings on right now. There's a lot of interesting things happening within the Star Wars fandom and also within the Star Wars, what would you call it, corporate community, or the Star Wars overlords at the moment. There's a lot of interesting things happening and a lot of interesting exchanges taking place between the fans and the people making the movies. And I just stumbled upon this: Guardians of the Galaxy director to angry Star Wars fans. He says, "Go to therapy." And that, of course, is James Gunn of the Guardians movies, which I love. I'm a big fan of the Guardians movies. And I don't know if if you haven't seen especially The Last Jedi, it feels like they're really taking some cues from James Gunn. Rian Johnson seemed to really like James Gunn's approach to Guardians, really trying to weave in a lot of the kind of quirky, awkward humor that you get in the Guardians movies, only it just really fell flat. And also it's Star Wars, and it has a completely different tone. So it didn't work in my opinion. It comes across as very Spaceballs-ish, and you don't want Star Wars to come across like Spaceballs because it's not supposed to be a parody of itself. But anyway, that's a different, probably a different talk there. Anyway, let's see what this article by Jude Terror has to say. Let's see what we've got here. So this was just written yesterday. So this is a fresh article that we're checking out tonight. Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn took to Twitter Wednesday to advise Star Wars fans who respond to things they dislike about Star Wars movies by attacking the people who made the movie to seek mental health counseling. That was a big sentence. Anyway, yeah, James Gunn wants Star Wars fans who respond to things they dislike about Star Wars movies by attacking the people who made the movie. He wants those people to seek mental health counseling. Let's see what he actually says as we go on. Gunn's sentiments were in response to comments Gunn received after he tweeted a link to a news story about Jar Jar Binks actor Ahmed Best, revealing that he considered suicide after the backlash to Star Wars The Phantom Menace. More recently, actress Kelly Marie Tran was forced off social media by fan harassment in response to Star Wars The Last Jedi. Well, this is still unconfirmed. She's not actually said that that's the reason why. People are speculating, and it may very well be that that's the case. But when you are reporting on a story, I feel like it's important to say something like, if I was editing here, I would say, well, you need to say, more recently, actress Kelly Marie Tran was allegedly forced off social media by fan harassment. That's a way that you could word it. So it's like she still has not confirmed, and no one has gotten word from her directly as to why she deleted all of her pictures from Instagram. Anyway, a group of delusional fans have even launched a crowdfunding campaign seeking to remake the movie, which, while polarizing, was the top box office earner of 2017, making over $1.3 billion. So, real quick, just a couple things here. So, they bring up Kelly Marie Tran, poor Rose Tico, and I don't think the an actress or an actor, they should not be driven off social media because of a character they play. I don't agree with harassing the actor or actress because you didn't like a character they played. I think that's pretty silly. I would not do that myself. And I couldn't even have told you Ahmed Best's name before reading this article. I guess I didn't pay close enough attention to the man behind Jar Jar Binks. And I don't recall this name being in the news a whole lot after The Phantom Menace came out. I feel like if people were harassing this guy, that's pretty sad. They should not do that. People shouldn't harass actors or actresses just because they didn't like a movie or a character. Jar Jar Binks was an awful character. So I don't know exactly. I haven't read the story of what happened to this guy. But if you play a character that people hate, the character, I think, is open season. People are going to just be brutal to characters that they don't like. And I think that's fine. That's fair game. There are going to be memes. There are going to be, especially now, there are going to be memes. There are going to be videos made. There will be just hate-fueled rants written by people all across social media. It's just going to happen at this point. And even if you are seemingly universally loved by whatever fan base you happen to fall into, there's going to be a contingent of people who just despise what you've done. And not only that, they're going to have things to say about it. And some of those people are going to perhaps cross the line and say those things directly to the actor or the actress. And again, I don't agree with that. I think that that's immature, childish, and I don't know if you need therapy, but I think that you do need to reevaluate the direction in which you are sort of casting your hatred. So if you hated Rose Tico, whatever, make some videos talking about how much you hate the character. Talk about things they could have done differently with her, or talk about how the movie could have been made without her altogether. Whatever you want to do, but you can leave the actress out of the equation. And as far as this goes, the people who are trying to crowdfund a remake of The Last Jedi, I mean, it's obviously a joke. It's not going to happen. That's more of a statement, and it's I think poking fun at how much a large portion of the fan base actually hated The Last Jedi. So anyway, let's read what James Gunn actually had to say in his tweets about Star Wars fans. So here he is. He says people responding to this post saying, "Yeah, it wasn't the actor's fault. It was the writers are missing the point. Critique it. Don't like it. But spewing hate and bile at individuals just doing their best to tell a story, even if the story sucks, is lame. Don't watch it." Star Wars, parentheses, or any movie, may be important to you, but it doesn't belong to you. If your self-esteem depends on how good you think the current Star Wars is, or your childhood is ruined because you don't like something in a movie, all caps, go to therapy. So let's go back through this real quick. So he's saying people responding to this post saying, "Yeah, it wasn't the actor's fault. It was the writers are missing the point," because that is to say that your hate should be directed at the writers or people behind the scenes who are greenlighting the movies, who are demanding that certain things be included in the films. People behind the scenes, people making the decisions about the creative direction of Star Wars. You should not even direct hate at them, and here's the tricky thing. So James Gunn says critique it. Critiquing is to break down what you don't like about it. Now some people will do that. Oh, some people will do that in a very enthusiastic, let's say, and passion-filled way. Don't like it. But spewing hate and bile at individuals just doing their best to tell a story, even if the story sucks, is lame. So James Gunn is basically saying you can be polite. You can politely critique it. But I would ask if the creative decisions, if the direction of the movie has been handled politely, if the fans have been handled politely, people online or at conventions, asking questions at a panel or writing blogs or what have you, if they think that a person is steering something that they love dearly right off a cliff, they're generally not going to be very happy about it. And when people are providing criticism of that thing, telling the world what they think is wrong with it and what they would like to see done with it, how it could be put back on track, so to speak, they don't want to be called names by the people making the creative decisions, who they feel are ruining something they love. This is going to make for a very tense situation and a very tense relationship. If you're a creator, you should be able to take the criticism. Short of someone threatening you, it's pretty much game on. We are in this band, we're musicians, and I've been playing music in various groups for almost 15 years now. And I remember in a previous group that I was in, when we signed to this record label, they broke the story of it on on a, oh, I guess it was like a hardcore website, uh, news aggregator type of deal, and they ran the story that we had signed with this label that was pretty big in that scene, and I just remember reading through the comments, and you know, just the things that people say online can be awful. The one that sticks out to me that I'll never forget is someone just commented praying for a van flip. So it's like, because my band had signed with this label that they liked and they didn't like us, they were actively praying for our van to flip. And we did get in a pretty intense accident one time. So they didn't get their wish. Their prayers were not answered fully, but maybe they got a little piece of it. And then we broke up. So so they shouldn't be completely disappointed. Anyhow, yeah, people are going to say awful things about you if they don't like your creative output. It's just, I think it's something that people do. And I think as a mature creator, you just have to you have to be able to deal with it in a grown up way. And this right here, it's like it just seems to be giving the message that that if you're not totally on board with the new direction of Star Wars, you need therapy. You know, if you think they're ruining your childhood, obviously no one means that literally. No one is breaking down and going into convulsions because their childhood memories have been totally tarnished and destroyed. It's not at that level for most people. Most people are annoyed. They're pissed off. They are agitated. They feel like they're being disrespected. They feel like they've given a lot to Star Wars over the years. Maybe they've not only seen the movies countless times, they've read the books, they've bought the toys, they've introduced their kids to Star Wars. It's been a huge part of their lives, and the stories mean a lot to them. So it's not just that these people are overgrown man babies, to use Ryan Johnson's term. They're not just man babies. They're not people just whining for no reason. They're people who feel like they've invested a lot of their time, money, and enthusiasm in over the years, and they feel like the people that are in charge right now are just telling them to get lost, saying that they need therapy if they don't like the new direction. So he goes on, Star Wars or any movie may be important to you, but it doesn't belong to you, Gunn tweeted. Yeah. Right. No one thinks that Star Wars literally belongs to them, but you do feel like after perhaps decades of being a fan of something that you would at the very least you would be respected by the people running the show. So you may not own it, but it only continues to exist, and it will only continue in new iterations moving forward if the longtime fans who are the ones funding all this stuff, basically spending money on it, it'll only continue if they continue to do that. And if you treat them horribly for too long and you kill the fandom off, and you're left with only the Johnny come lately fans who are kind of jumping on the hype train until it runs out of steam, you're going to be left with nothing when that's gone. And you will have alienated everyone who really cared about it. People who didn't need therapy people who just wanted to be respected, people who wanted to be heard, people who wanted to be able to voice their concerns, their criticisms, harsh as they may be. That's what they wanted. Star Wars fandom certainly has proven toxic lately and shows no signs of getting any nicer in the near future. Comparatively, the rival DC Extended Universe fandom is free of that sort of atmosphere, with hardcore Snyder bronies merely demanding that Warner Brothers release the Snyder Cut of Justice League, a perfectly reasonable request to honor the vision of director Zack Snyder that hasn't driven anyone off social media yet. Okay. Star Wars fandom certainly has proven toxic lately and shows no sign of getting any nicer in the near future. This word's thrown around a lot. Toxic. It's that's an interesting word. That word is used a lot for many different things these days. But the Star Wars fandom certainly has proven toxic, apparently. Why? Because longtime fans don't like The Last Jedi? Because they didn't want The Last Jedi to be a sequel to Spaceballs? Could that be, is that why? Is it because no one went to see Solo? Could that be it? I wonder. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Is that what they're saying is toxic about the fandom? That people just aren't forking out. They aren't forking out. They're telling you why as well, which is another crazy thing. That's the insane part of all this. Is it's not mysterious. They should be thanking the passionate fans who are going online and giving them all of this feedback. People are making it very apparent as to why they don't like the new direction. And I know there's a lot of this kind of speculation and sort of, what would you call it? There's a group of the newer fandom, we'll say, who will just accuse the original trilogy or even the prequel trilogy fans who are not accepting this new direction for the movies. They will just accuse them of being hateful people, of being horrible people, of being alt-right. They'll accuse them of being racists and bigots and sexists and misogynists and all this stuff. And it's like, no, if you read the critiques online, which right here, James Gunn tells you to critique what you don't like. But spewing hate and bile at individuals just doing their best to tell a story, even if the story sucks, is lame. Well, no, the people who are telling the story, the people who make the decisions, the people who are the creatives in charge, they are there to hear the critiques. And of course, it's going to come across rather harshly if they are taking combative tone back with the fans as well. You know, that will only escalate things. That only leads to greater feelings of resentment from the longtime fans and the people who are not accepting this new direction. The people who think the stories that they're telling right now are awful. The people who feel like Star Wars has no direction right now, which is true. The baton approach to this trilogy is nonsense. It doesn't work. There has been no vision for it, and it shows when you watch The Force Awakens and then you watch The Last Jedi. What you see is one story being told in The Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson taking over and just basically wiping the story that was being built up in The Force Awakens, just wiping that clean, taking all of the questions that everyone was interested in The Force Awakens, and just destroying them in The Last Jedi. Not really answering them, but negating them, making those questions feel as insignificant as possible by answering them in the most insignificant ways. And so anyway, when it comes to this right here, go to therapy. I think of myself saying that, if we, well, obviously we're not dealing with fans who've been with us for 20 years or 30 years at this point. We've been a band for about 2, and we don't have that large of a following. So, but I'm just trying to imagine, as a creator who's trying to sell a product, my music. I okay, I'm trying to think of how this would be. It's like if I had a fan who kind of came on board when we first started and we put out our first album, Wish You the Best, which you can still listen to on Spotify, and you can still buy a physical copy if you want to at superdivorceme.com. If we had someone come on board who loved that album, and expressed love for it, and maybe they bought it and bought a shirt, and they told people to check us out, and then our second album came out after we had gone down to a 2-piece. The first album was like kind of post-hardcore, like fairly heavy at times. It's a rock album, subgenres. We're not going to mention kind of where we went in there. It's just, who knows? There's so many classifications now. Emo, screamo, post-hardcore, whatever you want to say. But it's rock. It was a 4-piece rock band. The new album, as a 2-piece synth pop duo, is obviously much, much, much different. And it's not like we faced a bunch of backlash because we don't really have many people who are even a fan of our music. So we've got some plays on Spotify. We did decently on college radio with this newest album, but before that, it's like, we were very, very, very small, very off the grid, and but we had a few people who bought the album and really liked it, and so when the new one came out, there were a few comments that were kind of like expressing befuddlement over what happened, because when you go from being a kind of heavy-ish rock band to basically playing like 80s inspired synth pop / new wave, that's an absurd jump. And I could not blame anyone for getting off getting off the stop at the new album if they were a fan of the original, of the first album. If you loved Wish You the Best, and you were there with us throughout that entire series of shows we played when we were playing those songs, and followed along our adventures at that point, and then jumped ship when Action Figures came out, I really wouldn't blame you, because it's almost like we started over completely. We kept the name, and everything else was gone. So I get it. Those people who may have done that would have become a fan of our band when we were playing a particular style of music that they enjoyed. And they would reasonably, I'd say, expect something at least in the same vein when a new album would be released. And if it strayed too far, then it's no longer recognizable to you as as the band that you were a fan of. And that happens. You know, it happens in music. It happens in movies. That's what's happening now with Star Wars. The problem is, Star Wars has such a rich history, and they could continue it in a way that satisfies the people who have supported it and cared about it for so long. It's just they're not doing it, and they're almost being spiteful about it. When we changed our direction and became a synth pop group, it was because we went from being a four-piece band to a two-piece, and it was a drummer and a vocalist. And it's like we couldn't play any of our old songs live anymore. We didn't want to stop and try and find new members and then teach them all the old songs. It was just like we didn't want to halt the momentum that we had. We wanted to keep creating. We wanted to keep doing something so that we could move forward with this band. And so the solution we came up with was to become an electronic group and to just create in a way that was feasible for us. And that's what we've done. And that's what we did with the first album. And I think that's what we're going to continue doing from here on out. That's kind of what we feel is the best move for us. So anyone who loves action figures, if our next album came out and we had gotten our old members back and written 10 songs of me screaming and yelling and never singing, then I can see how people would be turned off by that. And they might have something to say about it, especially if they loved action figures and wanted more like that in the future. You'd be disappointed, you know? We've all felt that. And so that's what Star Wars fans are doing right now. They're expressing their disappointment and they're directing it at the people. I think they're doing so in a way that's, like I said, very, very passionate and sometimes heated, and sometimes it does step over the line. You should never threaten anyone. You should never cross that line. You know, I think that people have a pretty good idea of what that means, and you know, but you never have to feel like you need to express yourself in a polite sort of kid gloves type of way, especially when you feel like the people who are making the decisions are treating you disrespectfully, making fun of you, and telling you that there's something wrong with you if you don't like what they're giving. If you don't like the new direction, you need to go to therapy. If you're saying your childhood's ruined, you need to go to therapy. Knowing they know damn well that that's hyperbole and that people are not really losing sleep at night over this stuff. It's just it's a topic they care about. It's something that they want to express themselves over, and yeah. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's a little disappointing that James Gunn would say this, you know, but I don't know. He's another Disney guy, so it might be like, hey, come out and give Ryan Johnson a little backup, you know, take some heat off of us right now, and sort of make these people look silly if you can. Tell them to go to therapy. Well, I wouldn't tell anyone who didn't like our music that they need to go to therapy. I'd say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Even if someone was extremely hateful, it's like, what are you going to do by escalating things? You're putting stuff out there. People get to listen to it. Not only do they get to decide whether or not they just want to listen to it or not listen to it, the equivalent of this, don't watch it. Yeah, of course. Of course. But they also get to say things about it. They get to go online. They get to talk shit if they want to. They get to at you and express themselves however they want. to a degree, obviously, but they can call you a dumbass. They can tell you that you're a fucking idiot for the music you're making, or for the movies that you're putting out, or for the story that you wrote. Whatever. If people take in your content and feel like you have wasted their time, they get to tell you about it however they want to, as long as they're not breaking the law, basically. So that's kind of the moral here. I hope that you will. I hope you'll stick with us in the future. I hope you will continue watching our videos that we do live, the videos that we put up that are produced. I hope you will subscribe, like, comment. We will comment back. We'll talk. We'll have a good time. I hope you'll tell people about us. Hope you'll check us out on Spotify and follow us there. And I hope you like everything that we're doing. And if you don't, the moral of this video is that you're allowed to say so. And that if you do, I don't think that you need to go to therapy. I think that you have an opinion and you can express yourself. So you can comment below, and you can be lovely and joyful, or you can be angry and you can denigrate us. That's up to you. The choice is yours. The world is watching the comments section, and how you decide to present yourself will be seen by all. Will be seen by us anyway. So however you want to come across to us, you can do so. Yeah, just don't break the law, don't make threats, and then I think we'll be okay. So hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and have a lovely evening. Everyone else, just have a great day, and we will be back tomorrow. Okay, good night.